welcome everyone. We want to thank you for joining us with Leadership Northern Colorado and our February Leadership Moment. My name is Amanda Miller and excited to welcome you all today. I support the Leadership Northern Colorado Steering Committee, and we are so thankful that you're sharing your time with us. I'm going to do a quick screen share just so we can honor and recognize our sponsors. We want to thank Elevations Credit Union for supporting Leadership Northern Colorado and all of our programs so that we can make these interview sessions happen. So thank you to our sponsors and also to our program partners. I also want to quickly thank those that serve on the Leadership Northern Colorado Steering Committee. We greatly appreciate your time. Those of you who are on screen right now, if you just want to wave to say hi, thanks again for all that you do for Leadership Northern Colorado. A few reminders for participating today. We do ask that you stay on mute during the duration of today's interview. And if you have questions, which we encourage questions, please drop those into chat. We will be monitoring chat. And then at the end of the interview, we'll have time to pull some questions for Kristin at that point. So please engage in chat and use that tool here on your Zoom screen. We also want to invite you to save the date for the next Leadership Moment interview, Tuesday, March 8th. So same day and same time, we'll meet at 3:30. And we will be featuring Casey Katofsky. Casey is the director at Legends Complex. So we will be excited to hear from Casey. I am now going to turn it over to Todd Carl. Todd will introduce Kristin and we'll get started here with our interview.
Awesome, Amanda. Thank you so much. I am Todd Carl. I serve on the steering committee here at Leadership Northern Colorado, and I'm a corporate banking lending officer for Ent Credit Union by day. So thank you so much, everyone, for the opportunity to spend a little time together in our Leadership Northern Colorado universe. We're thrilled to have with us today the president and CEO of the Community Foundation of Northern Colorado, Kristin Todd. Kristin was selected for her role by the Community Foundation board from a national search following the retirement of the foundation's former leader who served in that capacity for over 17 years. The Community Foundation maintains over 130 million in assets and distributed 9.9 million to local organizations during its most recent fiscal year. Amazing asset for our community. Kristin brings with her to this role a wealth of experience in high-profile philanthropic leadership experience, including several roles during her 18 years at the Daniels Fund, culminating in her role as executive vice president. She's also did serve for over 7 years with the Alumni Foundation as an associate vice president. She's earned many accolades for her contributions to the philanthropic community, including being honored as Colorado Outstanding Grantmaker in 2019 and being recognized as one of Denver's Mile High Leaders and Outstanding Women in Business by the Denver Business Journal. Kristin has a master's degree from the University of Colorado and a bachelor's degree from the University of Georgia. She told me that the guacamole stain still hasn't come out of her Bulldogs national championship t-shirt from a few weekends ago, but I'm sure she's working on that. So Kristin, we are very excited to hear about your journey and then how your experiences have shaped your perspectives on leadership. So if you're ready to party with us, we are ready to learn all about you. So I think you could probably do it better than I did. How about we start off with, in 3 minutes, can you share with us who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Let me start first by just saying thank you. Thanks for the invitation. I'm really excited to be here with all of you and so excited to be in Northern Colorado. It has, I can't believe it's almost been a year since I've been in my position. I started April 1st of last year, and it has just been a whirlwind. It's one of those things, I think it's COVID, where it's just, you're in this complete time warp. And in some ways it feels like it's been, like, I can't believe it's almost a year. And in some ways, like, it feels like I've been here forever. So it's just one of those strange time things, but absolutely loving everything about the community, and the new position. And so I am just so grateful to have this opportunity to share a little bit with all of you. And I see lots of familiar faces on the screen, which is lovely. And those of you that I haven't met, I look forward to meeting you in person. I'm slowly getting out and meeting with all of the people that I need to be meeting with. And so, anyway, I look forward to that. A little bit about me. I have, it's hard to say this, but I've been in Colorado in philanthropy for 25 years. I started when I was 3. And I really fell into a career that has turned out to be an amazing blessing. And I wake up every single day and pinch myself and feel grateful for the work that I get to do. I'm motivated and driven by mission-driven work. And so the fact that I get to work professionally in that field and get up and get the opportunity and really have the honor to try and make a difference in the community. And I've seen the impact of philanthropy, and I would say more importantly, or maybe even more specifically, I've seen the impact of strategic philanthropy and being thoughtful about how to make community change through philanthropic partnerships. And so I have spent my career starting, as you mentioned, in Colorado Springs at El Pomar Foundation, and then spent almost 2 decades at the Daniels Fund. And I feel like that, I guess I would also add that my role in these positions I've reflected a lot, and I reflected a lot as I prepared for this role about what is it that was important to me, and what did I want to continue to contribute in whatever my next position was. And one of the things that was clear to me that is important is being a connector. And I think one of the things that comes with being in the philanthropic space is working at a 30,000-foot level in a community and being able to see all the good work that people are doing and be able to connect people that may not, when you are like in the grind and you are, particularly the work of our nonprofits who are just day in and day out doing the incredible work, don't always have the luxury to see the connections and see maybe some work that people in another part of the country or even another part of the state are doing. And so one of my most favorite things that I've done is being able to connect people within the community space. I think the other thing that defines me as I have reflected is the importance of relationships and the importance of people. And really, when you look at everything, whether it's business or nonprofit, to me, it's relationships that ultimately drive results. It's people. Every business, every nonprofit, every government, everything boils down to people, and it's all about relationships. And so that has really driven my work and driven the impact that I'm trying to make.
Sounds so simple when you put it that way, but man, it's the truth. So when you think of yourself as a connector, and when you think of yourself as a relationship builder, what are the priorities that you think that you see for the Community Foundation for 2022 and beyond?
Yep, you bet. That's exciting, and that's such really a timely question, because we have spent some significant time. That's one of the main things I've been working on in the last year, is working with the board and really driving a process to help them think about the future. And I think with any organization, when there's new leadership, there's an opportunity to really rethink in an intentional way about what do you want to be in the next chapter. And particularly the Community Foundation, who was led by the same person, Ray Caraway, for 17, 18 years. I have big shoes to fill. And the foundation had experienced so much growth and so much opportunity under Ray, but then to think about what's next, and to be able to step back with a new leader and play with some of those things. So if I can figure out how to share my screen, I'm going to share something with you all that's kind of hot off the press. Can you all see?
Got it. Looks great.
See that? Okay. So much of this is the same work that the Community Foundation has been doing over the years, but it really focuses on where we want to be and what we want to focus on moving forward. So our vision is the same, creating impact and leaving legacy. We have a refined mission statement. You see here, we want to create transformational community impact. That's really what we're about. It's community impact. And we want to do that by inspiring philanthropy and engaging the region. So engaging all of Northern Colorado together. So we used Jim Collins's language about BHAGs. If you're familiar with Jim Collins, he calls them BHAGs, which stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goals. So our 10-year BHAG is here, that we want to create positive, meaningful, and lasting change in Northern Colorado over the next 10 years. And here's how we're going to measure it. First of all, we're going to, over the next 10 years, invest $225 million in the community. We want to grow assets under management to $500 million and become the go-to institution to address critical challenges regionally. And these are big audacious goals. They're stretch goals. They're all related, but they're super exciting and really will push us to grow and to, while assets under management aren't the end all be all, it is a factor that allows us to do more work in the community. And so you mentioned, Todd, that in your opening remarks, we're at 130 million. We actually ended the year, we're at 190 million now. So let's call it 200, let's round and be 200, but we're still looking to go from 200 to 500 in the next 10 years. And so we've got a lot of work to do. And so the strategic priorities that we're going to focus on to allow us to do this work and hopefully reach those goals are to build and grow our donor and our advisor relationships. And so this is a big, there's a lot to unpack in all of these. And obviously we're building, entire operational plans that drive an end or are driven from these strategic priorities, but build and grow. And that means more donors, more advisors, more referrals, bringing more people into the family to grow assets. Engage and activate a younger generation of philanthropists. This is one we're really excited about. And so trying to think about how do we get the younger generation involved, and whether that's the kids and grandkids of existing donors, or frankly, just the younger generation in the community that is wanting to get involved in philanthropic endeavors. We want to powerfully tell our story, and this really just means we're going to be more deliberate in our communications and our marketing. Expand grant making, and so this speaks directly to that 225 million that we want to put out in the community, which frankly is really the true measure of our work. It's the money in motion. It's the money that we can put out in the community. We don't simply want to collect donors and collect money. We want to get money into the community, and so being more intentional about ways to do that and ways to help our donors be more strategic and be more of a matchmaker, so that we can connect our donors with really incredible things going on in the community in a way that maybe hasn't happened as deliberately. So that's a big part of it. Convene and collaborate. This is a big part of our community leadership work. And you may be familiar with a lot of the work we're doing around water and convening mayors and city managers around water, and then looking at other issues where we can be that neutral convener and bring people together. So we're building out a whole strategy and a plan around that. And then finally, last but certainly not least, want to work to strengthen the nonprofit sector in ways that make sense for us. There's a lot of organizations working in that space. And so we want to be, we don't want to duplicate. We want to make sure we're bringing value to the community. So hot off the press, I just thought I would share, since you asked the question of what are our priorities, that is what they are. And we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but really excited about the direction we're headed.
Well, you're certainly not afraid of the big, hairy, audacious goals. Growing from where you're at to 500 million in assets, that would be tremendous help and asset for this community. I can only imagine the impact that would have, but how do you see that? Where do you see that impact as my laptop falls off the table here, where do you see that impact primarily being for the future of Northern Colorado?
Yeah, I think that I think in so many ways, and I think that there's so many ways to think about that, and so a couple of those, I would say, first of all, we are in a unique space, and I'm learning, right? I'm new to this community, and you all know way more than I do, but I've learned very quickly that that trying to bring people together with a regional focus isn't always easy. And so I think that is an area where, as the Community Foundation of Northern Colorado, we have this unique ability and this unique niche to say, we're going to break down the barriers, and we're not going to focus only on Fort Collins or Loveland or Berthoud or Greeley or Estes, that in fact, we really want to focus on issues that rise to the top for everyone. And I think that's a unique space for us to play in, and to convene community leaders and stakeholders around issues that impact the entire region. One of the things we've looked at is trying to determine, so in addition to water, which we've already been doing work on, what should be another issue that we tackle? Is it transportation, affordable housing, education? And we don't really want to choose the issue. We want to work hand in hand with the community to say, this is what's important to us, and this is what the community would like you to focus on. One of the things we have found in our work in looking for what those issues are is that there are many community needs assessments that have been done in individual communities, but there's nothing that has been done for the entire region, at least from what I'm learning. So again, I think that's a space where we could fill a gap and try to create a community needs assessment, or maybe a community indicators report that we could track over time, that allows us to look regionally at some of those key issues and key indicators that make up a healthy community. So all of our work is focused regionally. And I think as we work through this strategic plan in putting more money in the community, we're really thinking about how do we strategically align the interests of our donors with the interests in the community and the exciting projects and initiatives that are happening regionally, and bring people together. And so I think that, again, I don't know, Todd, I could go in a lot of different directions, but I think there's a lot of opportunity, and we're excited about really impacting and thinking about Northern Colorado as a region, and what value do we bring, and how do we help change and improve the quality of life for everyone in the region.
Well, you're certainly speaking our language here at Leadership Northern Colorado as it relates to that regionalism. We have leadership programs available in Fort Collins, Greeley, Loveland, but the folks in this group tend to take a more regional view of how we manage through the challenges in our community. So it's really exciting to hear.
Yeah, and it's not, you all know, right? It's not always an easy thing to do. There's a lot of deep-seated feelings and and challenges that come with that. But I do see that we're breaking down barriers, and as more and more groups like you are thinking regionally, and I think as we're seeing growth and more people coming into the communities that don't have that same history of the different communities, it will take time, but I'm already seeing change. I hope you all are too.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for that. So if you are thinking either of your current leadership role or any leadership roles that you've had in the past, our main focus here in Leadership Northern Colorado is cultivating leaders of our own. Mm-hmm. Share with us, if you would please, your biggest success or point of pride as a leader, as a teacher.
Yep. For me, it really goes back to people and relationships, kind of as I started. And I think that as I think about my leadership roles that I've had over the years and the current one, this may sound strange, but I think that one of the most significant points of pride I have is when someone from my team moves on to their next role. And that may sound strange, but I see part of my role as a leader is to help grow and help leaders move to help people sort of on their leadership path. And sometimes that's within your same organization, and sometimes it's not. And so I, really espouse to that servant leadership style, and thinking that, my role is really to help people grow and to help people be the best that they can be, and love to see people advance within the organization that I'm leading. To me, that's the greatest thing ever. But it's equally encouraging to me, even when they're leaving the organization, because it's just great to see them grow. And so I don't know, I think that's what I would say. It's really about growing people and seeing them along their path and seeing the great things that they're going to do.
Outstanding. Love that answer. And staying on the leadership tip here, do you have a favorite book that you've read about leadership, or anything along those lines that you'd like to share with us?
I do have something I want to share, and I'm first going to show you the book. So I don't know if anybody knows this, The Go-Giver, and it is this really easy, quick read. It's really a parable, and it's all about, in business, but really anywhere in life, that the more you give, the more that comes back to you. And it really takes that parable and I just love it. And I thought I would share, just because it's so integral to my approach, I just want to share. So the book goes through a story about giving back, and that how that leads to business success, and then ultimately ends with the 5 laws of stratospheric success. So I'm going to share those with you right now, just because I think they're really great. And it's just so perfect for this conversation. But and I'm going to actually go through them because I think they're that important. So the law of value, right? Your true worth is determined by how much you give and not what you take. The law of compensation, that your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. The law of influence is that your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Authenticity, which says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. Really being true and authentic, and offering yourself up, I think, in those authentic relationships is so key. And then the law of receptivity says that really the key to effective giving is being able to be receptive to receiving. So it's really a great little quick read story, but there is so much packed in to this book, and I just love it. So that's my favorite book.
Well, it seems that the common theme that would run through these parables is selflessness. So I think that probably speaks to some of your qualities as a leader. So I bet you're pretty fun to work for, would be my guess.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope so.
Well, good. So that's the end of my pre-recorded questions. I'm going to check in with Amanda and see if we have any questions over in the chat that anyone was curious in asking Kristin. And I guess since I haven't offered that as an option yet, while those questions come in, I will ask Kristin one question. As sort of a newcomer to this community, I always love to ask this. What has surprised you about Northern Colorado?
I would say, and this is not really a surprise, but an observation, is how nice people are. Yeah. And I know that sounds like so simple, but I've been in Denver for almost 2 decades, and I have to say that it's not the same. It is not. There's just this energy of connection and really being nice, and I just love it. So yeah, it's being nice.
Yeah, I come from a different part of Colorado too, Kristin, like you, and I agree that the people here are very much nicer than they are in other parts. So Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like, and maybe this is, I'm choosing to believe this, and it certainly seems it, that it's not necessarily that everybody here believes the same thing, but so many other places, and particularly in my last few years in Denver, things had become so divisive and everything became so political. And certainly we see that on the national level as well. But I was experiencing that every single day in my life in Denver. And I get the sense here that people have learned how to agree to disagree. And it's okay to disagree. We don't all have to agree, but let's approach it in a different way and be respectful of one another's opinions. And I get the feeling that that's how it is here.
Totally agree with you and love that observation. I'm going to throw one last screwball question at you here. Another favorite that we have for these interviews. Would you please tell us about your very first job ever, and then any possible insights that has given you into leadership throughout your career?
So my very first job was working in an ice cream parlor.
Yes.
I grew up in Louisiana, so I grew up about 30 minutes outside of New Orleans, and my first job was in an ice cream parlor. And probably the biggest lesson that I took away from that was don't give all your friends free ice cream. That doesn't work. But I think when you're that age, you don't really understand what it takes to run a business and from the business perspective. So yeah, so can't give it all away for free.
And I'm a former food service guy myself with my first job. And if you give all the stuff away to your buddies, then you can never get rid of them after that. So
there you go. It's kind of a spiral.
Amanda, did we have any last questions? Jump into the chat.
Thanks, Todd, and thank you, Kristin, for your time today. There is one more question. I think we have just a few minutes, and then we'll do a few closing comments. A question from Elizabeth in chat is, what is the biggest tip you would give to grow leadership for someone who is newer to a leadership role?
Is don't be afraid to reach out and find people in the community who can serve as a mentor. None of us can do this on our own, and none of us have done it on our own. And I think that part of being a leader as we progress in our careers is to help mentor younger leaders. And so I have benefited from that, and I try to give back. And I think that so many people do. And I have never, ever had a situation where I asked for help and didn't receive it. And so I think sometimes you just have to ask. And so that would be my biggest tip, is find those people, find the mentors, find the people that you admire and see what you can learn from them. And then frankly, I think there's as much to be learned from people who are not good leaders. And so watch different styles and see what you can take away from that.
Well, now you just sound like my employees calling me a bad boss. So, well, good.
Yeah, and Kristin, it does look like you have a few fellow ice cream scoopers in the group who also worked in ice cream shops. That's incredible. And there was also a comment I do want to reflect on quickly, a thank you from the Animal Friends Alliance for a grant from the foundation. So just again, thank you for all the work that your organization is doing in our community and in our region, importantly.
You bet. It is honestly, I pinch myself every day.
Great. So I am going to do a quick screen share and want to thank everyone for taking the time to be here today, and want to recognize again our sponsors. So thank you to Elevations for sponsoring Leadership Northern Colorado. We also want to thank our community partners that support Leadership Northern Colorado, and of course the committee members who help coordinate all of the programs for our current class as well as for our alumni. Again, reminder to save the date for Tuesday, March 8th at 3:30. Casey Katofsky from Future Legends, which is the new complex there in Windsor, will be joining us. So look forward to learning from Casey and his perspectives on leadership as well. So again, thank you all for sharing your afternoon with us. Kristin, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your insights, your time and for all that you do. And officially from Leadership Northern Colorado, welcome to the community. We look forward to getting to spend more time with you. So everyone enjoy your day. As promised, we like to end right at 4. Thank you for being here, and I will turn off recording now.
Thank you.